know, this series, where are we on the prophetic time clock? Where are we? And Vic has got lots of information. And sometimes the way we process things, sometimes it takes us time. I'm a slow processor, just saying. It takes me time to think through things. But, you know, I hope that you are, any questions that you may have, that you are, you know, having them answered through this study. Come on up, Vic. And I know I love Vic's heart. Such a gentle, sweet spirit. I love his heart so much. And so I'm excited for him to continue this series with all that he knows. It's vast amounts. I'm just blown away. So Vic, thank you for sharing this with us this morning. Let's welcome him.
I know last week I spoke that we would talk about COVID this week, but I didn't realize how sensitive and offensive that topic can be. And so discussing with Lynette, we decided to drop it, and we won't deal with it, because there's lots we can deal with. Today I want to look at Luke's recording of the Olivet Discourse, just like Matthew recorded it. But in Luke chapter 17, verse 29 and to 30, Luke says that, likewise, as it was in the days of Lot, where they ate, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built, but on the day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even so will it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. And today we have seen that the sexual perversion of Lot, of Sodom and Gomorrah, is rampant today. And I'm not wanting to get involved in too much of it, but I want to address something that is very puzzling. God said when he created man, he created male and female. Yet now, through transgenderism, we can be whatever we want. We don't have to go by what we were born. We can choose. At least that's what is being preached to the kids in school through a program called SOGI, 1, 2, 3. And it's a dangerous program because there is laws in place that prevents parents from protesting against that. In fact, in Ontario, if you're a parent and you do not support your child's transgenderism and acknowledge whatever pronoun he or she wants to be called, that child can be taken out of your home and put into the state. Transgenderism, the subject or the prefix trans means to change. And so transgender just means changing your gender. And although we have the technology to modify the body, they forget one thing. No amount of chemical intervention nor surgery can really change a person's sex. To put it simply, John can never become Joanna because his XY chromosomes does not change. And Donna can never become Donald because her XX chromosomes never change. The problem is, there is medications that are designed for the male and female that can do damage. If someone is claiming to be female and is a male and gets female medication, it can do damage rather than bring about healing and vice versa. So the Lord says that in the days that he comes back, This is one of the signs, and we're seeing that today. Also, we find that it says in the book of Matthew, the Lord says, do not be deceived. In fact, 3 times he makes that statement of not being deceived, that there would be false prophets and false Christs that would try to confuse and deceive many. So I want to look at some of the deception that's out there. We've been told, actually when it first started, we were told there was climate warming. And our planet was warming up, and if we didn't do something about it, we'd burn up. The truth is, the planet today is actually 1.08 degrees cooler than it's been. And in the last 21 years, there's been absolutely no change in climate. Another deception of the climate change thing is, do you remember Vice President Al Gore back in 2007? He made this prediction. The North Polar ice cap is falling off a cliff. It will be completely gone in as little as 7 years. Well, we're 2024, and last time I looked, it's still there. In fact, in 2013 and 2014, the North Pole ice cap increased by 43 and 63%. And we were also told that 97% of scientists believe that climate change was a problem of us humans. We were causing the problems. It was our gas-guzzling cars and trucks and the planes that we take to holidays, and our big 3-story houses with all the heating that has to be done, etc. And the Wall Street Journal decided they would investigate and see if that was true. They found out that there is only 1% of scientists that even think that the humans have an effect on climate change. It upset the scientists so much that 31,000 of them responded with a petition that said there is no scientific evidence that human release of carbon dioxide, methane, or any other greenhouse gas is causing a catastrophic heating of the Earth's atmosphere, or even any disruption in the Earth's climate. What they have found, however, is that our sun goes through 11 years of cycle where it warms up and it cools down. However, climate change personnel said, oh, but that has nothing to do with the climate change on Earth. I don't know about you, but when the sun comes out, to me it feels warmer. When it's hiding behind a cloud, it's an awful lot cooler. And I think the sun has an awful lot to do with the climate we have on Earth. Yet climate change people say, oh, no, it's got nothing to do with that. It's us humans that are bad. And how many of you have ever, on a clear day, looked up in the sky and seen these chemtrails? Yeah. Do you know what that, have any of you seen it? Some of you have. Well, chemtrails, they claim, is just contrails, which is the exhaust that comes out of a jet engine when a plane flies. And so the idea that there is seeding of the clouds with various chemicals was called a conspiracy theory. However, seeding the clouds goes back to the 1940s. In 1946, 2 scientists by the General Electric Company in an experiment proved that seeding the clouds with dry ice pellets would cause rain. The military saw this and thought, oh boy, we're going to get involved with that. And so the military, over the next years, from 1952 to 1983, started seeding the clouds with various chemicals to see what would happen. They tried to see if they could limit the amount of lightning to prevent lightning fires. They also wanted to see if they could cause or control hurricanes by putting certain chemicals into the clouds. So the question is, what is really in those chemtrails, which, by the way, has been changed to make it sound more scientific. It is now called geospace engineering. Now, doesn't that sound really scientific? Well, they decided to analyze what they're putting into the clouds. And they found out that they were putting in barium, aluminum, radioactive thorium, copper, titanium, silicon, lithium, cobalt, lead, ethylene dibromide, and several pathogenic agents. And these chemicals, they have found causes certain diseases in mankind, like tremors, tumors, Parkinson's disease, and cardiac dysfunction, and a condition which I don't know if I'm going to even pronounce the word right, but it's called Morgellons syndrome. And it is when the body starts to deteriorate. And they have proven that this type of chemical that's being seeded in our clouds will cause that. So why would the government do that? Well, there's an excellent film out on that topic. It's got a good name too. It's called Frankenskies. And it is put out by a fellow by the name of Matt Ladman. And on Daystar, a program called Talk Truth. And it's 5 days a week. Isn't it Talk Truth? Yeah. 5 days a week. But you can go to Daystar and you can look at the archives and grab the programs. And over a 4-day period, they actually showed that film. And the director of that film, Matt Ladman, was able to not only interview pilots that were involved in the crowd seeding, but actually showed how they did it, showing the equipment in the plane that would seed the clouds, and proof that what they found that is being seeded is truth. How many remember what was eventually called the Summer of Rage? 2020 was not only the COVID pandemic, but it was the Summer of Rage. It was when the Black Lives Matter organization and Antifa began riot. And I don't know about you, but I watched on TV as store windows were smashed and there was looting and creating fires into buildings, and especially to the police with a shout of defund the police. And I found this cartoon, if you want to put it up, Ray, it shows what happened in the city of Portland where they took over 14 blocks. And wouldn't allow police in, wouldn't allow people to move around, was patrolled by guys carrying automatic weapons. And the news was advertising this as peaceful demonstrations. Didn't look too peaceful to me. Timothy, 2 Timothy, chapter 3, verse 1 to 7 says this: "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own self, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. And then it says, ever learning and never able to become to the knowledge of truth. I just want to share with you a survey that went out based on this idea of never being able to come to the knowledge of truth. In the 1900s, human knowledge doubled approximately every 100 years. But by the time of the end of 1945, they claimed that the rate was every 25 years. Today, it's every 12 hours. Our knowledge doubles every 12 hours. And in that constant changing of what we know, truth has lost its meaning. There used to be something called absolute truth. Today, it's now called relative truth. Which means what is true for me might not be true for you, and what is true for you might not be true for me. And that's okay. We all have our own truth. The survey showed that those believing in absolute truth is only 35% of the population. Therefore, 65% believe that truth is relative, and it's basically whatever you want to believe. And we wonder why there's conflict in the world. I don't know if too many of you watch some of the government debates and stuff that go on in the news, but there's been some things that have been happening that is a little alarming to those of us who believe in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That charter says that we have freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression. However, some bills that have come down the pipe, one being Bill 94, wants to override that and control what you think and say, and call it hate speech. One of the things that that bill aims to do is to create what they call a buffer zone, a 100-meter buffer zone around venues where drag queens read stories to kids, be it in the school or the public library, and limit your ability to protest that, including any LGBTQ event. You now have to stay within at least 100 meters away and not be allowed to protest. We even found that some of that applies to the abortion clinics. There was a lady, and it was in the city of Calgary, who was standing outside an abortion clinic and silently praying. And she was arrested because she was praying against abortion. And that's against the law. And it's against the law to counsel anyone that is going into an abortion clinic. That particular bill is called Bill 163, by the way. And although that they haven't been officially made laws yet, they are on the docket. And those laws are going to make it really tough for us as Christians to speak what the Bible says is true. We will be considered hate speech if we say that there's only two genders, male and female. We will be guilty of hate speech if we say marriage is only between a man and a woman. It's coming. And we're already seeing pastors arrested for preaching those messages. I'm sure all of you have been aware, because it's been on the news time and time again. And it's this statement: you will own nothing and be happy. Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum is seeking to become the one world government. Their program, called the Great Reset, has a target year of 2030. We're not too far from that. And they're pushing to make that successful. So I thought you may want to know what that Great Reset program is like. One of the first things in that program is something called surveillance. And we're talking total surveillance of any single one worldwide. The plan is a digital ID system, which everybody would have a digital ID, and the government would be able to control your every move, your every purchase, where you go, what you do. And then they want to take it a step further and create digital currency. Do away with the dollar and money, because digital currency is something they can control. And some of those controls that they want to put on is where you'll live, what you'll do, and I hate to say this, ladies, but what you wear. In fact, in their program, you will only be allowed to purchase 2 outfits a year. And it will be done by a computer algorithm that decides what style or what clothes you should wear. Doesn't sound too wonderful, does it? Our finances will be put in control, total control of the WF. You won't own a car. You will rent a car. You won't own a home. You will rent a home. Like I said, you won't even own your own clothes. The algorithm will do the shopping for you. And you will pay rent because your government will own everything. Just to let you know, the US, Brazil, China, Germany, Austria, Canada, and Australia are already right now in stages of research in the development of a central bank digital currency and digital IDs. But not only is there a financial system, and not only is there a surveillance system, but there will be a scoring system. And this scoring system will be a social credit scoring system that gives credit for everything that you do every day. It will reward people doing the things that the government agrees with and punishing people who do not do what the government likes. China is the model country that pattern of social credit scoring will be like. But besides that, there's a human reset as well. Schwab is a transhumanist, and he wants to plan and create Human 2.0 with implanting technology into the body of a human. Not just a digital ID, but a DNA manipulation through CRISPR. CRISPR is a machine that that allows the medical profession to effectively change a person's DNA. They can go in and take a look at the DNA, and if they see something in the DNA that is negative, for instance, if say in your family, a certain disease like possibly heart conditions are rampant in your family, and they realize that it's actually built into your DNA, the possibility of a heart condition, they can remove that out of your DNA so that that generation, whoever that person is, has a better chance of not suffering from a heart attack. But it also gives them the ability to choose different DNA from either another person, or as in China, DNA from an animal and interject it into the DNA of humans. China right now is really working on that system. They want to create a super soldier. And so they're trying to see if they can take DNA from an eagle, its ability to see 2 miles distance, and if they can inject that into the DNA of a human so that it will give the human eye the same ability. They also want to see if they can take the speed of a leopard, its ability to run and run and run, and inject that into the DNA of a human to give him that same ability. And they have had some success with that one item where they have been able to put the DNA of a leopard, that particular part, into a human. And they have had a man that ran several days non-stop, full speed, and was not tired when his test run was done. So part of this reset, the Great Reset, includes something that we're seeing happen right here in Langley. How many people have noticed the bicycle lanes being added all over the place? Some of you are seeing that. And we're seeing complexes growing up. Where Langley, I believe it used to be you couldn't have an apartment complex higher than 4 stories. And now we're seeing them doing up to 20 stories. And what the plan is a thing called 15-minute cities. And to make a headline, 15-minute cities, the destruction of freedom of movement coming to a city near you. Edmonton is being done that way too. They're wanting to break Edmonton down into several sections. And they are passing a law, or it's on the books, that if you are living in Section A and you want to travel to Section D, you will pay a fine to do that. So if you want to travel outside of your 15-minute city section, it will cost you. They want to take away our cars. We're allowed to have electric cars. They want to see that more, but they would rather put us to bicycles. And the 15-minute city is an urban planning concept in which most of your daily necessities and services, such as where you work, where you shop, education, health care, and leisure activities, will be easily reached within a 15-minute walk or bicycle ride. But I noticed in their proposal, while it says that there will be a doctor's office and a dentist's office, and there will be a bank, and there will be a grocery store, there'll be a clothing store, and there'll be areas where you can have leisure, where there will be parks and stuff. Not once in the proposal does it propose a church, a synagogue, or a temple. So they really don't want you to be religious. They want you to be very secular. And the advertisement for these cities is propaganda galore. Here's what some of the things they say. They say a 15-minute city means more footfall for local streets, more local and diverse employment opportunities, the more productive use of buildings and space, the economic benefits of better streetscapes will be profound. There will be more equity, inclusive city, and a stronger sense of community. And equity and inclusivity is at the heart of any successful 15-minute city approach. From prioritizing the most undeserved areas and designing those streets to have active travel and schemes for use that would be what everybody would enjoy. More spaces in which to play, more spaces to mix and socialize, more support of neighborhood businesses and entrepreneurs, and enabling people to spend more time with their loved ones, if they happen to live in the same 15-minute city. More public spaces, active travel, to where? Well, anywhere that you can walk in 15 minutes or ride a bicycle in 15 minutes. And they also talk about healthy food options. My question is, does that include eating bugs instead of beef? The thing that is important to realize is that the WAF is a non-elected body. This means they are responsible to nobody but themselves. They're not going to be responsible to you. They're not really going to be responsible to governments. They're going to be able to dictate to governments what it is going to be like. I also decided that maybe we should do a little look at who Klaus Schwab really is. Because we see him a lot of times now on the news, always promoting the "you will own nothing and be happy" concept. A little look at his history is the Schwab family were very much involved with Hitler and the Nazis in the war. And their family produced weapons and material for the war machine of Germany. I don't know if you have ever read what Hitler's idea was, but Hitler wanted to create an Aryan race, blue-eyed, blonde-haired race, and he's the farthest from that. But he wanted to create this specific race. He wanted to have control of all of Germany's resources, making him in charge of what goes on. So he would have control of the people, control of the race, and of course he was anti-Jew and caused the Holocaust. Well, let's take a look at what Klaus Schwab is doing with his global reset. Being a transhumanist, he wants to create Human 2.0 so that we will have implants in our body that allows us to do things. Like I said, there is a company in Sweden that have implanted many people in the palm of the hand so that they can lock and unlock doors, open up the car door of the cars, open up the place where they work, turn their computer on and off, just with a wave of the hand because of the implant that's there. And Klaus wants to do the same thing. He wants to implant us with things that will make it easy for us to live, but also controllable. so that they can monitor us. He also wants to control not just one country's goods or property or produce. He wants to control the world. He wants to own all the resources, all the land mass, all the food production, and cause you and I to rent. Will it happen? Well, the Lord does say that in the last days, there's going to be a man that's going to come on the scene that we know as Antichrist. He will become a world dictator, and he will have a partner in crime called the false prophet. Now, I'm not saying Klaus Schwab is Antichrist, but I'm saying that his idea of absolute control and ownership of the world is what Antichrist will, for a period of time, accomplish. And then God will step in, and we with him, and put an end to it. So is the WEF going to happen? Oh, I don't know. I'm not a prophet. I study prophecy. I love prophecy. It is my passion. But I'm not a prophet, so I can't say whether Klaus Schwab and company will succeed. But their plan is what I see Antichrist ultimately being able to control. It's almost time. And I'm not going to be one that goes over time, although in the past I have been one that tends to speak long. There's a couple of things that I hope to have for you. I've had some say, you talk fairly fast, and when you give out the scriptures, I barely have time to write that down, and you're on to something else. And I apologize for that. I tend to be that way. So with the help of Lorna Adams, we're going to put together a list of all the scriptures that I will be using in this course and what they refer to. And I also want to give you a list of websites that I have gotten a lot of the material from. Organizations like Citizen Geo and Talk Truth, Daystar programs, Action for Canada, Christian organization that is establishing, speaking out against the things that the government is pertaining to. There's also another organization called Her Voice, and it is a move which I really think is important. And what she is just doing, this woman, her name is Jenny Donnelly, I believe. She wants to establish worldwide prayer hubs in as many cities as she can, where a group of Christians will get together and their sole purpose is to pray for the political leaders of the cities, towns, country, and countries of the world, because Christians are a mighty army, but we march on our knees. When Christians pray, that moves the hand of God. And if we ever need the hand of God to be moved, it's in our day and age. Because believe it or not, the church is under attack. And pretty soon, a lot of the things that we believe in are going to be considered hate speech, and we will have to be careful on how we talk. And so I hope, I've talked with Lynette about this, and we hope to have that available for you at the back so that you can pick up the scriptures that I have shared with you, and that you will have access to the websites that you can go and search and find more information that I'm able to give you. In fact, when I put this course together and looked at the number of pages that I put together, I knew for a fact that there's no way that I would be able to cover what I've written down in this book. And I have to be more concise. In fact, what I've shared with you this morning in my book covers about 6 pages of notes. But I don't have the time to give you all the details, but to give you the headlines. And my purpose in this class is to let you know what is going on. There is one thing I do want to, that I forgot to share, and I want to go back and share just before I close. On April the 1st, we thought it was a Fool's Day joke by Justin Trudeau, because he upped the taxes on carbon emissions. I want to read something to you that was put out by the Financial Post. Back in the spring of 2016, they had put out an article that said this: Canada is already a carbon neutral sink. So why are we keeping it a secret? And in the article, they showed how that because of our land mass versus population, especially our forest and agricultural areas, Canada absorbs 20 to 30% more CO2 than us terrible human beings emit. So why are we taxed for our carbon footprint when we're not even making one? To put it another way, if we look at an Olympic swimming pool and compare Canada's emissions of CO2, it would not even fill a Tim Horton coffee cup. Yet we're taxed, and in BC we're taxed twice. I don't know about you, but it upsets me. I'm not a big fan of Trudeau and the Liberal government. That's true. Anyway, next week we will look at another organization that is seeking to be a world controlling organization, and that is the WHO, which I believe should have some addition to its title, and it should say, who do they think they are? But we'll look at what their proposal right now is in what is called a pandemic treaty. And we'll look at what it is saying and some of the dangerous things, because in their pandemic treaty, they are promoting the United Nations becoming a one world government. Lynette, do you want to come and take over here and close? Oh yeah, there's some points of ponder on your tables that you may want to look at and answer the questions around the table. And if anybody is concerned about what they are or haven't come and answer, they can come and talk to me, and I will tell them what I think the answer should be. And if you have any questions on what's been covered, don't hesitate to come to me. I'm always around here after the session, and I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Okay, so on the center of your table, you do have a points to ponder, a question there, if you want to just take maybe a few minutes just to kind of talk about that if you want, and then I will come back and then we will close up as well. Okay, we want to give you guys a chance to be able to talk with each other around your table a little bit, because I know it's a lot of information that you have heard today. And so maybe if this can create some kind of understanding, if there's a question or even the question to ponder, just have this chance just to be able to talk, and then I'll come back up, okay?